Well, it's a great pleasure to welcome back Gordon Shedden to the British Touring Car Championship. You're smiling already, and we haven't even started the season yet, Gordon. You're pleased to be back, I guess?
Yeah, absolutely. I think caught everybody by surprise, this one, including to a certain extent me for a long time of it. But yeah, delighted to be back and can't wait to get going.
When you say caught by surprise, I mean, it feels to me like it was a very quick phone call, and now you're in the car.
It was a little bit, yeah. I think... since the Dynamics deal ended at the end of 22, I think I've been quite clear on the fact that I didn't want to come back just for any opportunity. It would have to be something which I really believed in and thought would give me an opportunity to win races and ultimately fight at the front. That's my motivation. My motivation isn't purely to be on the grid. My motivation is to be up there challenging and being there week in, week out. So I think I guess really impressed at what Christian and Danny and Amy are kind of doing at Speedworks. I think there was definitely an impetus from Toyota to kind of make this happen, and a lot of kind of support to try and get me back on the grid. So I think our views and our aspirations were aligned very quickly, very early. And then there was, from all sides, there was just huge motivation to try and make it happen. So yeah, it came. I'd like to say a little bit left field, but it certainly came a little bit out of the blue. But it snowballed very, very quickly.
Did you have to be asked twice, or just the once did it?
No, I think it is very much about trying to, set the scene of how it was going to look and how it could kind of feel for me. So, but yeah, I think it became pretty clear pretty quickly that. The work that they've been doing over the winter. I know, everyone says, "Oh, we've been doing loads," but it all kind of stacked up. They're definitely trying to tick as many boxes as possible and build on what they've kind of built. Throughout the second half of last year. Josh, Cookery had a really good second half of last year. The others were coming on song, and 3 out of their 4 cars won races last year. So it wasn't a bad package then, and I think it's better now.
You've never been one to be on the grid just to make up the numbers. So I'm sensing there's unfinished business for you in this championship.
Yeah, I think it's the motivation to test yourself, to challenge yourself, to succeed. Ultimately that is what it's about. It wasn't my decision to stop at the end of 22. That was or at the start of 23, as that all kind of unravelled very late in the day. But I guess everything happens for a reason, and as this has kind of ravelled itself in the right way, it's perhaps a polar opposite to almost identical timings as to how it unravelled itself a few years ago. So, yeah.
So was that an easy conversation with your other half, Gillian, saying, "Look, I'm going racing again"?
To be fair, when it was so quick, it was just like it was just trying to see how it could actually kind of like come together and how it could look. And my diary's kind of busy as it is already, and then we've just thrown another 10 weekends at it. So I think there's one stage in the summer where I'm like 8 weekends on the bounce at events, whether that's Knock Hill stuff, whether it's my historic stuff with Le Mans Classic and Revival, and then obviously the touring car events as well. So yeah, I certainly will cover some miles, both on track and on the motorways, no doubt.
And in the air, because a lot of people know that you're a qualified pilot and you fly yourself and Gillian, whatever, to many of the race circuits, don't you?
Yeah, and it's something I'll probably do at some stage throughout this year. Flying was great. I thought it was a great challenge to learn to fly. Those years ago, and something which I've kept up, and it saves so much time for me. And that's that is purely if a race at Snetterton, on a Sunday night, that's a 7.5 hour drive, best will in the world, back up the road to Scotland for me. But it's a couple of hours in the wee plane, so it means I can get back, or both of us can get back to work at Knock Hill a little bit brighter and sharper on a Monday morning.
When you say a wee plane, how big is this plane of yours?
Only like 4 seats.
Oh, 4 seats. Okay.
Yeah, it's 3 piston.
So not tiny.
No.
Like Cessna 182 something.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Sort of thing.
Yeah, like Piper Arrows I had.
So Croft, talk me through Croft. How was that?
Testing at Croft was good. We had 2 days. Weather was perfect. We had a few things to get sorted out on the first day. Just again, things that needed done then, which will hopefully leave us in better stead as the season starts and begins to progress. Second day was good. I think we were solid on pace. I think I would like to think I've got half an idea of what the the other kind of usual suspects would have been up to in terms of power deployment, not tyre use, and I think we tried to kind of fall into line with that as well. So, which for me is the only way to kind of go about testing.
No hybrid from now on, which means the cars are arguably 75 to 80 kilos lighter, which is quite clearly making them a little more nimble once again. Have you noticed that? Yeah,
car felt really on its tiptoes when I jumped into it to start with, and I think we just got to the phase. You've got to remember that it's not that long ago when we were down at kind of like 1,100 kilos, and to be all of a sudden way up nearly 1,300. It was just at that tipping point. And I think drivers are a little bit, that is the nature of the beast as safety increases, as tyre size increased, all that adds weight, and then obviously hybrid as well. But it definitely feels that we're back with cars that are raceable a little bit now, and it kind of almost, I think, takes us back. It's quite funny how you get used to the success ballast or the weight as we had. We all thought we'd had our wrists kind of slit when we had 45 kilos of ballast, then all of a sudden it's 75, and everyone all of a sudden copes with that. But when you take that out, the thing just really comes alive. And from a driving point of view, I think it's what all the drivers wanted. And yeah, hopefully that helps the racing, because the cars can be a bit more nimble, and the moves can be a bit sharper, and yeah, it should add to it. Not only are lap times going to come down, but I think it's going to be close racing this season, isn't it? The fans are going to have an absolute beano watching these 10 rounds. Yeah, I hope so, and I think it'll come from all angles. I think when you look across the board, taking that step back and trying to kind of suss out, who's got what and what performance. Obviously, we've been in this period of technical regulations remaining constant, pretty much, okay, apart from the weight and hybrid, but the actual technical regulations of the car have essentially been the same, for kind of 10 years or so now plus. So inevitably, teams, drivers, engineers all move around in that time, and people figure out the best way to do it. So I think now the grid is, potentially closer than it's ever been. I think we'll find that, we've got 24 cars on the grid, and I think it's going to be incredibly close. I don't see there being a huge split from front to last. We could have the whole grid in under a second. Couldn't we, in qualifying? I mean, that's going to be amazing. I think so. And I think you say we've almost seen that at Brands Hatch before, but joking apart, I think we'll see like in the teens within a second, even round here at Donington, for instance. I think even on the slightly longer circuits, I think it will be that close. Somebody else made a really interesting point in that this is the last year of the current regulations, which means that we're probably seeing a season where all the cars in the NGTC era are as good as they're going to ever be. That's quite a thought, isn't it? It is, and I think actually taking the hybrid out of it for the last season is just that little kind of cherry on top, because it gives that last thing for the teams to kind of work out, and just to optimise. Because I don't think, people talk about, we've changed this and we've changed that. It's, you've got to be realistic. This far into regulations, it's not reinventing the wheel. It's just tidying up packaging and cooling and whatever that needs to be. So, I'd be surprised if anyone takes a quantum leap from out of nowhere in the last year of regulations. And yeah, some teams will, their cars will respond better to the lighter weight, some won't, and lots of people moving around. I mean, geez, it's like, there's drivers here, there, and everywhere. So it's, I think it'll be spicy. You will want to be on the podium. You want to pick up trophies. You want to bag the points. I'm taking that as a given. In your own mind, what will you be happy with as the least of your performance for that opening weekend? You know what? I don't know, because usually I'm absolutely awful at the start of my seasons. Don't put your money on Gordon Shedden for the first round. It's generally never been a strong point all the way through. But it's more important what happens by the time we get to the end of the year. And there is a lot to learn. I have to settle back. You've got to remember. Somebody took great delight in telling me at Croft that it'd been 905 days since I last drove a touring car. Now that's a long time. 905 days. 2.5 years, wouldn't it? And you're 2.5 years older. So, and wiser. Exactly. Yeah, so there's no excuse for the rest of them. Excellent. Gordon, it's an absolute pleasure to see you back. I'm going to enjoy chatting to you throughout the season and have a good season. As we do usually at this time of the year, we have a little bit of fun with a couple of sideball questions. Choose a number 1 to 5. Choose number 1 to 5. 5.
Are you a good passenger in a road car?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm all right in a road car
If I
passenger.
ask Gilliam, she said the same.
Yeah, because she gets the job done. She's fast. She knows.
But within the speed limit.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll just qualify that for any members of the constabulary
I'm fine.
in Scotland.
I'm all
listening.
good.
Another number between 1 and 5.
Another number between 5. 2. So that gives me 5 and a 2. That'll be 52. There'll be reasoning behind this.
I can see where you're going. Do you have a middle name?
I do, yes.
Which is?
William.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
There's a couple of drivers not prepared to reveal
Isn't
their
there?
middle names. Right, and
I think Robo's got the worst. Is he not like Bartholomew or something random?
I
like
don't
that?
know. We'll find out. I'm definitely going to press him on that one. Nice tip. Thank you. And finally, number 1 to 5.
Another number 1 to 5. We'll go with 1. We'll come down the order.
Right, okay. The British Touring Car Championship has been going for 67 years.
Right.
There have been 12 drivers
Yep.
who've done back-to-back championships.
Yep.
How many can you name?
Oh, do you want me to actually name them?
Yeah, if you can.
Who have done back-to-back in 67 years?
I'll give you a clue. You're one of them.
I remember that one. Right. Jeez. Sutton will have done it back-to-back.
Yeah.
Giovanardi would have done it back-to-back.
Yes.
In 7 and 8, I think. Let's go back. I think we're back a bit further. If I'm going back in time, am I missing anybody in between? Has Colin done it back-to-back?
Yes, he
Colin
has.
would have done it back-to-back.
Yeah.
So that's 3.
If you can get to 5, we'll
Is
call
it?
it quits. Do you need 2 more?
I need 2 more. Back-to-back. It's difficult, isn't it? It's difficult.
Old teammate of yours.
Matt would have done it back-to-back, yeah,
Matt
of
Neal.
course.
One
yeah,
more.
Yeah. I'll take that as a granted.
2 drivers have done it 3 times.
Have they?
Yeah.
Like Rouse, maybe?
Well done.
Yeah.
You get the chocolate Easter egg.
Hey.
Win
There we
Percy
go.
with the other one. Chris
Win.
Hodgetts.
Hodgetts. But Hodgetts was that... Well, yeah, it was, but it wasn't it?
Yeah,
Was it
that
not
might have been the
Yeah.
the tie-break question if there was
Okay.
needed to be one. Otherwise, you've done very well.
Hey, there
Gordon,
we go.
great to see you back. Have a great season.
Pleasure. Thank you.